Mexico, 2010, 2:07 a.m. A 12-year-old boy is running barefoot down a long stone corridor inside a dark mansion. His breathing is broken. His shirt clings to his back, soaked in sweat. In his right hand, a small pistol, almost too big for him to hold. Behind him, men shouting, doors slamming open, radios crackling with urgent commands, boots pounding against marble floors. The boy knows this mansion well. He knows the corridors. He knows the cameras. He knows every corner where shadows are thick enough to hide for 2 seconds. And he knows something even more important. If they catch him tonight, he won't see the morning. He reaches the end of the corridor, stops. A guard stands in front of him. Not just any guard. This man has known him since he was 6. He taught him how to ride a bike in the backyard, carried him when he fell off a horse, always told him, "I'm here to protect you." Now, he stands between him and the gate. The boy raises the gun with both hands. They tremble violently. The guard doesn't raise his weapon. He just looks at him. 1 second. 2 seconds. Then, in a very low voice, he says, "If you stay here, they will kill you." From inside, the voices get closer. One man shouts, "Close the gate! Don't let him out!" The guard looks at the boy one last time, then steps half a step aside. "Run." The boy doesn't ask, doesn't think, doesn't look back. He runs. Through the iron door, down the outer stairs, across the courtyard. The night is cold. The mansion lights behind him are harsh and white. Everything is silent, except his heart. Then, just before he reaches the outer wall, he hears it. A single gunshot. He freezes for half a second, doesn't turn around. He knows exactly what that shot means. The guard who let him pass paid the price. The boy jumps over loose dirt, crawls under a partially opened fence left unfinished from maintenance work, and disappears into the dark fields behind the mansion. At that moment, for the first time in his life, he is outside the walls. And for the first time, he is unprotected. But the terrifying truth is, he wasn't running from his father's enemies. He was running from his father. How does a 12-year-old boy end up fleeing from the most feared man in the region? To answer that, we need to go back to the beginning. Before the gunshot, before the escape, before he realized the house he grew up in was never really a home. Years earlier, the boy's name was Adrian. Inside the mansion, that name mattered. Outside, it meant nothing. Out there, only one name mattered: his father's. A man who controlled a network stretching across cities, borders, smuggling routes, corrupt police pockets, farms, warehouses, trucks, secret accounts, aliases, and unmarked graves. A man rarely seen in photos. A man who didn't like his full name spoken out loud. And yet, everyone knew who he was. Shop owners in the nearby town would lower their voices when his vehicles passed. Police officers stopped ordinary people, but never his convoy. Local politicians smiled in front of cameras by day, then sent coded messages to his men at night. His enemies? They sent bombs. But Adrian didn't see any of that at first. To him, his father wasn't a cartel boss. He was just Dad. The man who came home late sometimes, carried him half asleep to bed, and whispered, "Don't be afraid, I'm here." That may have been the first big lie of his life. 0 hours, 3 minutes, 45 seconds. From the outside, Adrian's childhood looked like a dream. A massive mansion in an isolated area, black SUVs, a swimming pool, horses, more rooms than any child could ever need. Staff, food always ready, gifts without occasion, and guards everywhere. At first, the guards felt normal, like doors, trees, or fences. He never questioned why two armed men stood near the kitchen, or why shifts changed every 8 hours, or why a car idled outside the main gate even at dawn. Children don't question the systems they're born into. They accept them as normal. But some things felt strange, even for a child. Adrian never went to a real school. A teacher came to the mansion. No classroom, no classmates, no field trips, no birthday parties beyond the walls. If he wanted to play, he played alone, or with a guard's child, for 2 supervised hours. Even the garden wasn't really a garden. It was controlled space. Cameras covering angles, guards watching the back gate, walls so high that even the trees felt imprisoned. And still, Adrian believed he was lucky, special, better than others, until he noticed something important. Rich people had freedom. He only had protection. 0 hours, 5 minutes, 12 seconds. It started with small questions. Why can't we go to the city? Because outside is dangerous. Why do we change cars when we go out? Because your father is important. Why are the windows so thick? For protection. Protection from what? Bad people. But who are the bad people? Every time he asked, the answers were the same. Short, vague, closed. And when children grow up around closed answers, they start opening doors themselves. The first crack in the perfect image came from a sound. Not a sight, not blood, not even a direct threat. Just sound. He was around 8 when he woke one night to rapid, heavy pops, followed by glass shattering, men shouting, and his mother rushing into the room in a way she never had before. She didn't turn on the light, didn't explain. She grabbed him, pulled him to the floor behind the bed. This was the first time he saw her afraid. She pressed his head into her chest so tightly he could barely breathe. In the darkness, he heard men running through the hallway, and his father shouting orders he didn't understand. It lasted maybe 40 seconds, but to a child, it was forever. The next morning, sunlight, calm garden, perfectly set table, staff acting like nothing happened. But on the outer wall near the pool, bullet holes. He asked about them. They told him it was a small problem. It wasn't. From that night on, he slept differently. Lighter, faster to wake, more alert to sound. Fear didn't enter his life through truth. It entered through repetition. Every few weeks, something happened. A convoy arriving too fast, men entering pale-faced, doors closing, phones collected, his mother not smiling, his father disappearing for 2 days, then returning like nothing happened. And every time, everything is under control. But children understand something adults often ignore. If you have to say everything is under control too often, it probably isn't. Then came the moment that changed how he saw the guards. He was about 10 when he asked to go to a small shop in town with the driver. He just wanted to see the street, people, life outside the gate. After a long argument, he was allowed, under strict conditions. 2 cars, 4 men, no more than 12 minutes. They went. To him, it was incredible. A gas station felt like a new universe. Kids running, a woman carrying bread, a young man laughing loudly. Everything was simple, but alive. Then they entered the store. He stood in front of a refrigerator, reached for a drink. A strong hand grabbed his shoulder. A guard. Down. At that exact moment, a man at the door glanced inside, then left quickly. Adrian didn't understand, but the men moved instantly. Lights off. He was shoved behind a metal shelf, rifles pointed outward. The driver's voice crackled on the radio. "Second vehicle ready. Move." No shots were fired. No one came in. But the trip ended immediately. On the drive back, no one spoke. And for the first time, Adrian didn't feel like the guards were protecting him. He felt like they were surrounding something valuable, but not human. Something that had to be transported without damage. From that moment on, he began to hate the word protection, because it no longer meant safety. It meant captivity. But everything up to this point was only preparation. The night that broke everything came when Adrian was 11. It was late. The mansion was quiet, but not peacefully quiet. The kind of silence that feels wrong. Adrian wasn't asleep. He was sitting on the floor near his door, playing quietly, when he heard something from downstairs. At first, it sounded like voices, then louder, then shouting, then something closer to begging. He wasn't supposed to go downstairs during meetings, which made it impossible not to. He opened the door slightly. The hallway was dark. He moved slowly, step by step, heart heavy, not fast, heavy. He reached the stairs, went down one step, then another, until he could see into a side room, half lit. Two men, on the ground, hands tied behind their backs, one bleeding from his mouth, the other repeating something over and over in a broken voice, and in front of them, his father. Not angry, not shouting, which made it worse. He was calm. The begging man said, "I didn't betray you. I swear. I just told them something small." His father didn't respond. He stepped closer, leaned slightly forward, asked a short question Adrian couldn't fully hear. The man cried harder. Then, his father looked up at one of the guards and nodded. One small gesture. The guard raised his weapon. A shot. The body hit the marble floor. In Adrian's memory, the sound of the body was louder than the gun. The second man screamed. 2 seconds. Then another shot. Silence. No music, no shouting, no drama. Just silence. Adrian froze. His father turned slightly, as if he sensed something near the stairs. Adrian pulled back into the darkness instantly, ran, upstairs, into his room, door shut, and for the first time in his life, he threw up from fear. The next morning, breakfast, sunlight, normal. His father sat across from him, smiled, placed a hand gently on his head. "Are you okay?" Adrian nodded, didn't speak. And in that moment, he understood something terrifying. You can love someone and fear them more than anything else in the world. From that night on, the mansion didn't change, but Adrian did. The heavy doors weren't impressive anymore. They were barriers. The large rooms weren't luxurious. They were hiding places. The cameras weren't protection. They were eyes that never blinked. Even his mother felt different. She had always been calm, elegant, carefully quiet. But now, the calm didn't feel like strength. It felt like surrender. Sometimes he would find her staring through the bulletproof window at the distant road for long periods, and when he approached, she would smile instantly, perfectly, quickly, the kind of smile people wear when the truth wouldn't save anyone anyway. Then something small happened. So small, it should have meant nothing, but it changed everything. A piece of paper, folded twice, left inside his schoolbook. He opened it. Written in uneven handwriting. You are not safe here. No name, no threat, no explanation. In a house where everything is checked, how does something like this reach his room? He hid it, then read it again, then again. Finally, he showed it to his mother. For 1 second, just one, her face changed. Fear, then gone. She asked where he found it. He told her. But before she looked back at him, she looked at the door. That movement alone was an answer. She wasn't afraid of outside. She was afraid of inside. An hour later, the paper was gone. He was told not to mention it again. The next day, half the guards were replaced. That didn't reassure him. It confirmed everything. After that, things got worse. The mansion became quieter, but more tense. A dangerous combination. Men spoke less. Phones were taken during meals. Visits stopped. His father carried a gun, even at dinner. His mother sometimes slept in his room, then left before sunrise. Then one evening, Adrian heard a word repeated. Traitor. Not among the outer guards, inside the inner circle, close to his father. And that changes everything. Because if the enemy is outside, there are rules, walls, weapons, convoys. But if the enemy is inside, every face becomes a possibility. During those days, Adrian trusted only one person, the guard who would later stand in front of him that night. Tito. Mid-30s, quiet, never overly aggressive. One of the few who treated Adrian like a child, not an asset. Tito didn't say much, but he explained small things. How to hold a horse's reins properly. How to keep your finger off the trigger unless you mean it. How to read the sky before rain. Simple things. Human things. That's why, when the house became a network of suspicion, Tito felt like the last stable thing. But even that didn't last. One morning, a driver disappeared. They said he was transferred. That night, Adrian heard two men talking in the hallway. Did he confess? No, but they ended him. The next day, the driver was gone. His car was gone. His belongings were gone. Like he never existed. Then 2 days later, the cook disappeared. Then a gate guard. Then another. Each disappearance made the house quieter. And in violent places, silence doesn't mean peace. It means someone has been erased. Then, the explosion came. It was just before sunset, the kind of time where everything looks calm, but feels wrong. Adrian was upstairs. His mother was in the East Wing. His father was in a short meeting with 3 men who had arrived less than 30 minutes earlier. Then, the window shook violently. A deep blast tore through the front gate. For half a second, everything went silent. Then, gunfire. Fast. Relentless. Adrian dropped to the ground instinctively. The alarm system screamed to life. Red lights flashed through the hallway. Men ran. Doors slammed. One guard burst into his room. "Safe room! Now!" He grabbed Adrian and dragged him down the corridor. This time, there was no explanation, no calm voice, just urgency. They reached the back wing. A wardrobe was pulled open, but behind it, steel. A hidden door Adrian had never seen before. It opened. Concrete. No windows. Cold air. A room built for one purpose: survival. Adrian and his mother were pushed inside. The door slammed shut. Silence. Inside, time stopped. The light was harsh, white, lifeless. The air felt heavy. His mother held his hand tightly, but her hands were colder than his. They didn't speak, not once. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. Inside that room, time didn't exist, only waiting. After 46 minutes, the door opened. They stepped out. The mansion was still standing, but something had changed. Outside, the front gate was shattered. A black SUV burned slowly near the entrance. Smoke curled into the evening sky, and near the driveway, a body, covered, still. That night, no one slept, and Adrian understood something new. All the power surrounding his father didn't remove fear. It multiplied it. After the explosion, his father changed. Before, he was dangerous when angry. Now, he was dangerous when calm. He stopped trusting anyone. He started testing everyone. Same questions, different ways. Same people, different rooms. Men were called in one by one. Doors closed, voices low. Sometimes silence. Then the door opened, and something was always different. Some came out pale. Some came out shaking. Some never came out at all. Then came the moment Adrian would never forget. The morning he saw the body. He was walking past the garage area. Something felt off. 4 men standing in a tight circle. Too quiet. Too still. There was a small gap between the doors. Adrian looked through. First, he saw the shoes. Then the hand. Then the face. It was one of the old guards. Someone who had been there for years. Someone who knew the horses' names. Someone who once laughed quietly when Adrian lost a game. Now, eyes open, staring. No blood. Clean. Too clean. And in places like this, clean deaths mean something worse. They mean the decision came from inside. Before anyone else noticed, Tito appeared. He saw Adrian. In 1 second, he moved, pulled him back, blocked the view with his body, closed the angle. He didn't say, "Don't look," because it was too late. Instead, he said quietly, "Forget what you saw." But you don't forget bodies at 12. You just learn to carry them. From that moment, the idea began. Not suddenly, not dramatically, slowly, quietly, like something growing in the dark. Adrian started thinking, not like a child, like someone trying to survive. If they kill the men who worked for them, what stops them from killing me? Especially after what he overheard. One night, passing by his father's office, the door slightly open. Voices inside. One man said, "If they take him, they'll use him against you." A pause. Then his father replied, "Then don't let them take him." Silence. That was enough. Adrian didn't need more. Sometimes danger doesn't need explanation. The mind fills the gaps. From that moment, his life wasn't a life anymore. It was a countdown. He started watching everything. The routines, the patterns, when guards switched shifts, which camera lagged half a second longer, which door stayed open just a bit too long, which section of the fence hadn't been fully repaired, where temporary keys were kept, which guard drank too much after midnight. He didn't have a map, but children raised in cages learn to memorize exits. Tito noticed. Of course he did. One evening, he looked directly at him and said, "Are you thinking about doing something stupid?" Adrian replied, "Like what?" Tito didn't smile. "Like thinking the outside is freedom." That sentence stayed with him, because it was true. Outside wasn't safe. Outside was filled with enemies, police, cartels, men who would kidnap him just to reach his father. But inside was no longer safer. And when both inside and outside are dangerous, you don't choose safety. You choose possibility. The final moment came faster than expected. That night, new shouting, but not from the basement, from the east wing, near the staff quarters. Doors slamming, men moving fast. Adrian stepped into the hallway. He saw two guards dragging someone, hands tied, head down. He couldn't see the face, but he heard one of them say, "We told you there's another one inside." Another one. That meant the search wasn't over. The suspicion was growing, and in a house ruled by suspicion, no one stays innocent for long. Minutes later, his mother entered his room. This time, no smile, no pretending. She grabbed his face with both hands and said, "If something happens tonight, don't wait for me." Then she left. That was it. That was the moment. The idea became a decision. If even she didn't know what was coming, then something worse was already on its way. He went to the hidden spot, under the wooden panel in his closet. The small pistol. He had seen it before, months ago, when Tito showed it to him, just once, saying, "This is what a real one looks like." Adrian remembered exactly where it was. Tonight, he took it. He put it in his pocket. One bill, a small key he wasn't sure about, and an old photo of him and his mother in the backyard. That's all. No bag, no plan. In perfect stories, escapes start with plans. In real life, they start with fear. 0 hours, 27 minutes, 25 seconds. And now, we return. 2:07 a.m. The corridor, the running, the shouting, the gun, the guard, Tito. When Tito said, "If you stay here, they'll kill you," he wasn't guessing. He knew. That's why Adrian didn't ask, "Who?" Because some answers, you already understand. And when the gunshot came after he ran, he didn't turn around, because turning back would break him. And he needed just 10 more minutes. Just 10. That's the difference between a dead child and a missing one. He ran through the fields until his feet tore against stones. He hid in a dry irrigation ditch as two vehicles passed searching. Waited. Silent. Then moved again. The night felt massive for the first time. The mansion behind him, no longer a home. It looked like a lit ship, sinking slowly into darkness. At dawn, he reached a small roadside stop. A farmer looked at him, asked, "Are you lost?" For a moment, Adrian almost told the truth. Then he remembered his father, the men, the rules. Names get people killed. So he said, "I want to go far away." And that might have been the most honest thing he ever said. The weeks after weren't clean. They were chaos. Cheap rooms, temporary shelters, back of trucks, fake names, constant lies, little sleep, the gun always near him, even when empty. Hunger was new. Silence was new. Inside the mansion, fear was loud. Outside, fear was quiet, but deeper. Every black car looked familiar. Every man on a phone looked suspicious. Every knock at night sent his hand under the pillow instantly. Because the truth is, he didn't escape the war. He carried it with him. And slowly, he began to understand something bigger. He was never the son of the most powerful man. He was the son of the most hunted man. All the walls, all the guns, all the convoys, they weren't just power. They were fear. Every higher wall means more enemies. Every extra guard means death is close enough to justify it. From the outside, cartels look like control. From the inside, they are built on one rule. No one sleeps safe. Months later, Adrian wasn't the same child, but he wasn't free either. One night, in a small room above a workshop, he lay down. No guards, no cameras, no walls, no mansion. And still, his hand went under the pillow. He pulled out the gun, checked it, put it back. Same movement, same habit, same fear. Because the truth is, you don't leave a house built on fear easily. Because the problem isn't the walls. It's what the walls do to your mind. From a distance, this story might seem like it's about money, power, crime, but it's not. It's about a child who needed a weapon to sleep before he turned 13. A mother who knew love wasn't enough to protect her son. A guard who understood too late that doing the right thing would cost him his life. And a father who built an empire but couldn't build one simple thing for his son: safety. Mexico, unknown location, night. A young boy, now older, turns off the light, lies down, places his hand under the pillow. Still, every night. Not because he wants to fight, but because he doesn't know how to live without being ready. Outside, no mansion, no guards, no convoy. But fear doesn't need walls. It only needs memory. And when you are born the son of the most dangerous cartel boss, you don't inherit the money first. You don't inherit the name first. You don't inherit the power first. You inherit something quieter and far more brutal. You inherit a lifetime of never being safe.